Yeah.
Hi, Louise.
Hi, Ennio. How are you?
I'm fine, especially after all these wonderful nights with all of you. That was absolutely wonderful. Yeah, great.
Good.
And it's great to have you here. How have you experienced so far the whole ITAMS conference?
It's been excellent. I think this is my second time attending it, and similar to last time, what I found is the conversations that you have with your peers. You know, what other TSOs are planning, their strategies, getting some insight into that, being able to share our own experiences, bouncing ideas off our peers, which is a really great opportunity to come together with an international cohort and share that knowledge and understanding.
That's wonderful. I noticed that's, by the way, also with a lot of your peers here these days. If I may, what do you think now is going to be your key takeaway for this conference?
One thing that I took away was just how people are managing data, the importance of data. It is an asset in its own right, and probably that no one has absolutely cracked that, but that there's a way to learn from what others are looking for. How are we obtaining the data? What are we doing with it? And then what I thought was really interesting is what is actually not worthwhile keeping. You know, and that was a really interesting insight from some of the speakers and those reflections. So it's really about trying to find what data is valuable in decision making so that you can make informed decisions. And I found that probably one key takeaway for me that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, of course we put a lot of emphasis on data and data quality, and to one point it actually also becomes philosophical, because it, you know, for what purpose do you want to keep data, and for how long, right?
Yes.
And very few of us, I think, realize what that means in life, and all that data that goes into things. Yeah, sometimes people say when they, you know, with Facebook or you know, what you put on socials comes back in 40 years from now.
Yes, exactly.
but
that it might be useful.
But that's also the analogy there is, of course, with keeping data, right? And I think, what do you think of our what I call the executive contributions from both SEAS and Optics 11?
Really interesting discussions, just to see where, I suppose, where the industry is progressing. So this kind of collaboration between TSOs and industry itself, and what they're offering up, and how they have worked with their clients to try and drive forward new innovations on their side. So it's very much collaborative, and that's what I really appreciated, and I'm really interested to hear more on how that might work within our own company. So there's definitely takeaways for me there. But it was that collaboration between the client and those companies that they drove that kind of further efficiency and further innovation between them, that the dialogue between them was so important.
Yeah. So the dialogue you mentioned, and if I look at the current actively participating peer group, that's we would like to see that growing. What are the regions that you feel should participate more into ITAMS in order to, well, what could be valuable for you?
I think I thought it was really good just the breakout sessions that we had. Just being able to kind of hear from everyone's experience. Obviously, a number of participants here are from within Europe, so very similar kind of regulation and policy and legislation that we're working to, so how they're navigating that. But then we look further afield and maybe to participants from Australia as well. But I suppose what resounded was, regardless of where you've come from, all of the challenges are probably pretty similar across the board when we looked at them, and that was, I suppose, there's a certain amount of reassurance in that we aren't a particular outlier in one area than the other, and I thought that was really helpful to have that
We're
discussion.
all part of the world.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes, okay. So this is a short interview, right? So I don't want to explain too much, because we have already had a lot of exchange. But I have one final question.
Sure.
Which I'm asking everyone.
Okay.
Which is, if you would have a magic wand in your professional environment, what would be the things that you would, the one thing that you would address with it? Magically.
Magic wand. I think for me, it goes back to your original question about what would I do differently coming back from ITAMS, and I think it's definitely the data strategy. I think for me to be able to crack data maybe if I had a magic wand, maybe a crystal ball, to look into the future, to look back and understand what is important to be looking at now. And I think that's why when I come to ITAMS and you see maybe where some of the participants are a few steps ahead of us, to kind of use that as the crystal ball, say, what have you learned from your journey? So data is definitely, for me, one area that I will be focusing on and trying to wave my magic wand at. So,
all right.
yeah.
Thank you for that answer, and I'm very pleased, and I also feel a little bit challenged that we with Auras could maybe potentially provide you with that crystal ball, right?
Yeah.
So
very
thank
good.
you so much.
Thank you very much,
Louise.
Ennio.
Yes,
Thanks.
yes.